Now, it wouldn't be right to host tonight's show without discussing the MLB preseason. So, taking a look at the season right here, it's supposed to start off on April 1st, but it's obviously subject to change due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So, how important is it for the players and fans to make sure that this season starts on time?
I think it depends on the player. I think it depends on the player and the team and the situation, because you have some guys like Trevor Bauer last year who are really able to take advantage of a short season with weird road trips, and he was able to exploit his ERA and have an incredibly low ERA because of that small amount of starts that he had to, the small amount of games he had to start. So I think that for those kind of players it'll be good, but for the kind of players that are like Josh Bell, where those weird road trips really mess you up, get you out of your rhythm, drive your numbers down after they had been progressing for a long time, I think that those players are going to be a little more upset. So I think it really depends on the situation for how many games there will be in the season.
For a fan's perspective, you absolutely want to see baseball back. You need to have baseball back. I know my summer nights weren't the same because there was no baseball going on. You need to have that consistent 162-game season as long as it's safe for the players and the fans. But you want to have baseball back consistently from night to night.
You're right. Fans are just itching to see their favorite teams get back on the field. But something really cool about this season is that fans are going to be in attendance. It really looks like it. As of right now, for most clubs, fans are able to attend in limited capacity, or even some teams are allowing full capacity, like the Texas Rangers just announced, as long as the fans are wearing masks. So how does making this change and having fans in the stands again change the entire dynamic of this season?
I think that the games will be a little more animated. I think that there's going to be a lot more of the players getting hyped because of a big home run or a big hit in a big situation. I think that we're going to see a lot more dancing and fun stuff like that. And, obviously it's going to be great for guys like the three of us who love getting to go out to a baseball game every once in a while.
The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, that's all stuff that you need back in baseball. It wasn't the same last year with the piped-in crowd noise and the artificial sound. Having that real fan experience back is going to be really incredible just for everybody.
I know. I really cannot wait to watch baseball again and go to the stadiums. I love going to watch my Yankees at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. But the thing about it is, this can only happen, if everyone is being safe. So when you take a look at the players, are the players going to be able to uphold their commitments to stay safe and healthy during this time so that they can stay with their team for the entire season?
I think they will, because I think they'll understand the importance of it. You look at last season, and Juan Soto, who was one of the best offensive players for the Nationals, missed a lot of time at the beginning of the season because of the virus. So I think players are going to look at examples like that and see that, wow, I mean so much to my team. I'm going to take extra precautions to make sure that I don't get infected by the virus.
You saw Eduardo Rodriguez on the Red Sox last year. Sadly, he had to miss the season due to complications from COVID-19. So players really understand how serious this is and the precautions that they need to take in order to be there for their team and for the fans, and because they still need a paycheck.
And taking a look at these teams across the board, you can see that teams like the Padres and the Mets, Toronto Blue Jays, they've all made great additions to their team that's, hopefully going to help them in the long run of the season. But what I'm really curious about is, do you think that the Dodgers will be able to repeat their 2020 year and be World Series champions?
I definitely think they'll be able to. We look at the Dodgers, and they're loaded with talent throughout. We know about the stars, Mookie Betts, Cody Bellinger, Corey Seager. Their starting rotation, which let's not forget, they get David Price back this year. He opted out last season. So they get a lot stronger there. You mentioned they brought in Trevor Bauer. So I think that that's big for them. They've also got talent at every position. Max Muncy, Chris Taylor, A.J. Pollock. These are all established big leaguers who can play the positions, one if not multiple. So I think that the Dodgers this year are a force to be reckoned with, and I'm really optimistic that they'll repeat.
I don't see why the Dodgers won't repeat. You see teams have problems with the luxury tax. The Red Sox had problems with the luxury tax. That's why they had to get rid of Mookie Betts. But I guess that just doesn't exist for the Dodgers because they've had so many big contracts, and the way they're able to manipulate their money, or maybe they just don't care about the penalties, but they've just been so good at being able to maintain their talent and even add to their talent.
And Sam, you mentioned a player that was in the media a whole lot this offseason in Trevor Bauer, who, like you said, was signed to the Dodgers in a 3-year, $102 million deal, making him one of the highest paid players per year in all of sports. So with the bar constantly being raised in regards to player salaries, What does this mean for the future of the sport?
Well, I think that we have to look at baseball contracts as a whole when talking about the Trevor Bauer contract, because as I said before, I really think that Bauer was able to take advantage of the short season and kind of skew his numbers to get a better contract. But when you look at other contracts in the MLB, Tatis, Bryce Harper's recent big contract even, the guys who are getting the most money are the youngest ones with the highest ceilings. It really pays to be young in Major League Baseball today. So I think that that's what is going to grow the game the most, is those young 19, 20-year-old guys who have incredibly high ceilings. They're the ones who Major League owners seem willing to give hundreds of millions of dollars to.
And it's all about setting the market. When you have these young guys getting these huge contracts for $30 million, $40 million a year, it's setting the market. So they're saying, if you're this good, you cost this much to play. And players are going to get the most out of their money. So it's up to the owners and GMs. If they don't want to pay players that much, then they're not. But they're probably going to, because they need that talent, and that's just how much talent costs in the MLB.
And we mentioned the Padres, and like you said, the Tatis contract. Do you think that they are up to par with the Dodgers at this point?
I think it's close. I don't think they are yet. I think the Padres are still just a little bit too young. They don't have as many veteran pitchers or position players as the Dodgers do. So that's why I think the Dodgers have a slight edge right now.
I think it's just Dodgers Jr. They're so close to getting there. Maybe they're a couple pieces away, but the Dodgers are just so good right now, it's tough to compete with them.
I agree. The Padres definitely, in my opinion, have championship gold in the next couple of years. That's just my take on it. But just one more question before we wrap this segment up is I want to know your early World Series matchup prediction. So tell me who and tell me why.
Well, Lewis, I already told you that the Dodgers were going to repeat this year, but I think that they're going to beat the Chicago White Sox in the World Series. I love the moves the White Sox made this offseason. Their rotation is super solid. Giolito, Keuchel, Lynn, Rodon. They brought back Adam Eaton, who spent the last couple of years in Washington. He's going to solidify that corner outfield position. I really like what they're doing in Chicago.
I see a repeat of last year and the same thing happening. Give me Dodgers, maybe 4, maybe a gentleman's sweep in 5.